Hello everybody, Marty McConnell here, Off Grid Gecko. And so today I just am doing a quick video on the Axe Cordwood Challenge, and I've had a long day already, so I haven't worked up any talking points or notes or anything. I just wanted to get this out of the way this weekend because December 15th I think is the last day of the challenge, and I am not going to finish my rick of axe cut cordwood. Now, the Cordwood Challenge is basically a thing that was started by Steven Edholme, and he just wanted to basically cut enough wood to fuel his home for the winter with nothing but an axe. And so this whole little thing surrounded it, and it's kind of become, I mean, it's not really a competition type thing. It's just kind of something to get people motivated about axemanship a little bit and learn how to use an axe and realize that you can go out and cut whatever you need to cut to keep yourself warm for the winter with just an axe. Like, it's something that's possible to do. So my main interest, I started actually late this year, which isn't really an excuse because I mean I had 2 months, and I think the smallest amount that they kind of set the cutoff at this year is a rick, because this year it's being administered by Benjamin Scott, and I'll put a link to both of their vlogs down in the comment section when I post this video. But Ben Scott is administering it this year, and he's just like, that guy's awesome. I mean, he's chill, he's down to earth, and he likes blogging or making videos on axe safety, different types of axes, sharpening, honing. Steven Edholme's kind of this off-griddy sort of dude that's, I mean, he's doing a lot like the same kind of thing that I'm doing, and he's just way more, he's way further along in it than I am. He has chickens already. And he's got a lot more experience than I do, so I kind of got hooked on his channel, and I found out about this Cordwood Challenge thing. And up to that time, I pretty much do all of my splitting with an axe. I'll point the camera the other direction here for the chainsaw pile. But I had never really done a whole lot of felling and bucking with an axe. When I was a surveyor, I did a little bit. If we had certain size trees, for whatever reason, we didn't want to bust out the chainsaw because we only had to cut down one tree that might be 8 inches. We'd break an axe out of the back of the truck and just go to work on that joker. But my main interest in this was getting more familiar with the axe, and specifically a hatchet, as tools of being out here in the woods, because this is something that's fairly cheap. It's easy to fix. Not easy, but I mean, I made this handle out of an oak stave in about 3 hours, from start to finish to fitting, and because I'd broken 2 other handles already that were hickory handles, and the handle's tuned to the way that I like it. I mean, I learned all these skills through the course of this challenge. Once I started swinging an axe regularly, and I realized how much it's not really about like being some brute. You know, you expect axe guys to be like burly and just these heavy dudes that are, you know, you wouldn't want to get in a fight with, but you don't have to be super strong. The most important thing that I learned really is actually the skill of just being able to deliver the axe blows where you want them, and you can swing pretty moderately, and you can work for a good 8 hours all day swinging an axe and not really tear yourself up too bad, if it's done properly. Which is one of the reasons this axe handle is so skinny, but I might talk about that in another video. But anyways, this is what I've got cut so far. I may or may not finish this rick off by the end, but a rick is basically 4 foot by 8 foot stack of logs, which for most intent and purposes I go by cord because it's actually a volumetric wood measurement. But for the Axe Cordwood Challenge, I think they're right to kind of do it in ricks, because it doesn't matter how long you chop these. A rick is going to be so many logs, you know, it's going to be so much cutting, and it's the same amount of cutting whether you cut the logs to 2 foot long pieces or 1 foot long pieces, or just make 4 foot long logs. a rick is still going to be a 4 foot by 8 foot section of logs, and it's the exact same amount of cutting. So it's one area where I think the rick measurement actually makes sense. I don't know if they planned it because of that, but it made sense to me that way. Anyways, so I got this, and this is essentially, these are 4 foot high here, maybe about 6 feet out to there, 5.5, and then I've got the little tail logs on the end to sort of mark where that rick was going to have to stop. So as you can see, I got a big old triangle corner here that didn't get filled in, and all of these logs are chopped start to finish with an axe. Most of these were trees that I felled with an axe. There are a couple pieces in here, like these oak logs right here, that I actually already had the tree down with the chainsaw, and I had the trunk ripped up because it was like a 16-inch trunk. And yeah, I'm not going at that with this. Sorry, guys. And I just went to splitting off the branches from my cordwood pile, just a little bit at a time. So I'd go out there and I'd knock the saw cut off one end, and then just start bucking the log the rest of the way to just practice that skill. And the more you practice these skills, like, the better you get at it. You start to realize, like, before every swing now, I kind of look and I see where the axe is going to go. I see where it's going to glance off to, and if it's not obvious, then I'll go ahead and turn this guy a little sideways and intentionally glance it off the log just to see where the axe head's going to go, to get more used to that, because it's a safety aspect. If it glances off and goes into your foot, you're pretty much done chopping for at least the week. So I learned a lot. I learned how to rehaft an axe after rehafting a hatchet several times and breaking 2 handles on this. So this was originally like a $25 or $30 axe made by Collins, and it came with a hickory handle. And the first day that I went to swinging off of it, like the first log I bucked, the head fell off. So had to learn how to rehaft it pretty quick, and then I broke that handle, went to this. So now I'm also learning how not to overstrike, or how to minimize the number of overstrikes that I make. So I'll quit breaking handles, because this gets kind of tedious to be replacing these every week. And that's just a flaw in my swinging, and that's from using a Fisker's axe to split wood. You overstrike once in a while, it's not a big deal. With these guys, with a real wooden handle, it's going to pop off. I mean, it's only a matter of time before you bust that axe head off, and the next thing you know, you're making a new handle or buying a new handle, and then it gets just tedious. So this axe was actually used to chop a lot of this. My other axe is X27, I think, from Fisker's. It's also a chopping axe from Fisker's. It's not as comfortable to use as this is, but it's a little more forgiving of mistakes. So whenever this guy was down and broken, I would break out the Fisker's axe to do some chopping. And a lot of the pictures I posted on Instagram are with the Fisker's axe. But anyways, I got to call a DNF for this year, because this is all I got with the axe. Now, I do burn firewood in a stove to keep warm. This isn't just cutting down trees for my own health. And I also have a large patch of cedar over there, whole cedar forest actually, that I want to kind of clear off to bring back prairie grasses up here on the hill. So there's several reasons why I'm doing it. So doing the challenge just seemed to make sense. Like, I can increase my axemanship, and I know that if I really needed to, if stuff really hit the fan and I was stuck up here and I had to chop to stay warm for the winter, I'm fairly convinced that without a day job or anything else to do other than finding something to eat, cutting enough wood with an axe to stay warm wouldn't be an impossible task. It's not a Herculean task by any stretch of the imagination. It's something we don't think about, but for hundreds of years, people built houses by cutting down trees, hewing the wood into beams and boards, and putting it all together with wattle and daub and other various things, thatching, just all kinds of time-consuming stuff that you can't really do when you got a day job. But if that was your human existence, like, it's not impossible to do these things, I guess. And I think that's part of the spirit of what Steven was trying to get across when he started this challenge up. We all know why he did it, but as far as the rest of us, we all have our own reasons. We've got our own kind of stuff invested in this that we want to do. And I learned a lot of new skills this year, so I'm totally planning on participating next year. And since I'll have the full year and swinging season will be in full swing come January to store up wood for next year, then I'm probably going to try and get my ricks knocked out. And if I can, get a full cord or even 2 cords next year just with an axe. You know, I found it to be very relaxing and therapeutic as well. Just go out to the woods, find a dead log, and just start beating on it with this until it's broken into chunks, and then haul it up here and throw it on my wood pile, and then I've got something warm to burn, and I've, you know, vented whatever frustration, or I just had some time to go out and meditate and think, reflect a little bit, and then, and as an added bonus, I've done it all constructively. I have wood to burn to keep me warm all winter. Like today, for instance, it's going to get cold as balls tonight, and so I've got this huge wood pile over here now for keeping warm, which I didn't have last year. I was chasing wood like all winter long, you know, going and buying a big bundle of slabs or picking up boards from the leftover pile at the mill, or just whatever. It gets to be a lot of work if you're chasing wood in February, and that pretty much consumes all your time. Whereas if you've already got a head start on the year, the next 2 years, that's kind of where I want to be. I don't want to be chasing to try and find something to keep me warm. And I think I've talked more than long enough. I'm not going to edit this video, so however long it's going to be, it's going to be. Sorry if I talked your ear off, but I think this is cool. And if you already know how to swing an axe and you've got a little bit of experience, I don't know if they're planning on even doing it next year, but if they are, it's definitely something to kind of get you into the swing of things. If you're used to splitting with an axe and have ever thought about chopping, Ben has a lot of great videos on safety, and a lot of videos on axemanship in general. And like I said, he's down to earth. He's very humble, so he's got a lot more experience and expertise in this area than he lets on, and that's kind of cool of him too. He doesn't have a fat head about it. He realizes his lack of knowledge and where it is, but he's also got a lot of knowledge to contribute. And since other people aren't really blogging this information out, like, he's just a fresh voice to turn to, and you can learn a lot from him. And the dude's totally cool too. Like, I wrote him an email, he wrote me back the same day. So he'll write you an email back. He's willing to talk to you. He's just this guy. And so, like I said, I'll put plugs to both of those guys down here on the bottom, because I think they're both doing great things. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyways, this is the log pile. You'll notice there's no flat ends. These are all pointed and cut off, and all the splits were made on the ground. Just another cool skill that I learned. And yeah, if you're thinking about doing this, or you just want to get out and swing an axe, definitely check out some safety tips if you're not familiar with it. Be careful where your blows land. Always be mindful of where the axe is going to go if you miss, or if it skips off the log, or you overstrike or understrike. And in my case, work on not overstriking, because all you're going to do is break handles, and that's either going to cost you a lot of money or several hours making new handles all the time. Yeah, and that's it. So that's my little Cordwood Challenge video. I did not finish for the year, which I figured I had 2 months, it'd be easy, but life just kind of got in the way a little bit. But hopefully by spring I'll have more wood put up for next year, and I can season all year. Maybe I can get a little extra this year to kind of get a train going where the wood can set up and season for 2 years, instead of me chasing my tail trying to get some of this green stuff to light. Yeah, I'm sure I've talked way too much, so I'll end this with a little shot of my non-Cordwood Challenge pile, or what's left of it. So I had 4 of these big piles of wood. I'm already burning through them pretty fast, and it's not all burned through. I mean, I've got a rick put up in the pole barn over there, and that's kind of my dry spot where I get wood from. If it's not raining for a few days, I'll come out and pull it straight off this pile. But it looks like a lot of wood, but it goes fast. So next year I'm hoping to have Actually, by the end of the winter and the end of the spring, I'm hoping to have at least twice as much put up again for next year, which would be really awesome because then I can focus my efforts next year on just storing up wood for longer. But I've already talked your ear off, so I'm gonna let you go. Smarty off Greg Gecko. Don't forget to subscribe. We're gonna be doing some cool stuff and making some fire steel still, and those cats are getting into trouble, so I've got to go. Bye. What are you doing? What are you doing, Fluffball? What are you doing on this side of the house? Are you being annoying? Meow for the camera. Or don't.